less than a year ago, the first Monday in June of 2015, we held our annual band banquet. At that band banquet, the Love family, as they had for the past several years running, had asked me to select 2 young student musicians who they thought would benefit from scholarships to further their musical pursuits and interests. I selected Elena Sablehouse, flutist in the symphonic band, who's doing tremendous things and winning scholarships left and right and running like the wind with her musical talents on flute. And Tyler Bouque, who is a fine musician in his own right, as well as a very uniquely gifted young composer. When Tyler got home from the band banquet, as I understand it, last year, he felt a wealth of gratitude to the Love family, and that very night began to pen a thank you note, several notes, in the form of a symphony. And the symphony was born that night, if I understand the story correctly. And so tonight, we're fortunate as the symphonic band to perform this work for the first time ever, and for you to see it, hear it unveiled. This is in memory of the beloved Jacob Love, who I was blessed to instruct for 4 years. And this work is a beautiful tribute to him. I won't speak about it. I want you to hear from the composer. But I do want to point out before I welcome Tyler to speak a few words about the composition to you. I want to thank 2 musicians who have come in specifically for the performance of this work. Tyler saw fit, since Mrs. Kathy Griffith, former assistant director of bands, and you remember her as director of orchestras at Bowling Park Middle School, since she stood beside Jacob for 4 years, that he included cello solo and a cello part in the symphony. And so Kathy is here, as you see her on stage, joining us, and we're grateful, Kathy. Thank you. And just because it wouldn't have been complete without it, and Tyler has tremendous musical judgment, he folded in a harp and happened to have a family friend in the form of Katie Crombez. She's a senior in piano performance at Madonna, and she was kind enough to come out and share her musical gift on the harp tonight. Will you welcome her? And so just to give you a little further insight before we open the concert with Love Speaks, I'd like you to hear from composer Tyler Bouque. Will you welcome him to the podium?
Good evening. Where do I even begin? So, as Joanne said, this began back in June, and I was, granted with the Love Scholarship a sum enough to take me to Western, who had a composition summer program, and I went to Western for 2 weeks, and worked purely on this. I spent 2 weeks doing nothing else but working on this. And then I came home and I worked more on it, and I worked on it through school, I worked on it through the first semester, and then I brought it to Mr. Noe's attention. I had no idea where it would take me. I wanted him to see it because it's an honor of a student he had and a student he loved. He can attest that he knows most of everybody in the band. But Jake is special. Jake was special. Jake was the center snare for the drum line for our marching band when he was a senior in high school. And very early in his senior year, Jake was diagnosed with aplastic anemia. And towards the end of his senior year, right after his senior year finished, Jake passed away. And it really was, I never knew Jake personally, and I'm saying this because I don't, because all the stories I've heard, Jake was an incredible human being. Not only did he love everybody in the band, but he loved music just as equally. And he was doing what he loved, and that was being with his friends and supporting his friends and loving every moment on the instrument. So I figured what better way to give back to the Love family as Jake than through music. So the symphony itself is in 5 movements. I figured the best way to celebrate someone's life is to show it in a way that we can all understand. Music is the universal language, they say. So you don't need to know Jake or to have met Jake to understand what's going on in music. So we begin at his very earliest moments from birth, and that's movement 1. Movement 1 is very simple, it's very pure, and it represents Jake, a very young child. And the Love family actually named each one of the movements. If you see in your page tonight, each one of the movements is named specifically by Jake's parents. A buddy for Billy. Billy is Jake's older brother. He was the first Joke tubist when he was in the symphonic band, and he comes back and works with our tuba players during marching season. And you'll hear in the fourth movement a solo played on the tuba to represent Billy. Now the second movement is much more upbeat, much more lighthearted, and it's just a lot more playful because the second movement, Brown Eyes and Drum Beats, is early childhood. So this is Jake as a young toddler, as most of us do. We bang on pots and pans and make noises as a young kid, but Jake took an affinity to it and turned it into rhythms, which most of us can't do. So we have some drum beats. Then we move on to middle school and high school. And the third movement is the longest movement because it's an expanse of a large portion of Jake's life. It's split into 4 sections. The first is sort of the nervous excitement, end of middle school into high school. And at the very end of this passage, it all expands into a massive pause, and there's dead silence. And we go on, there's a fanfare. Every year, when the freshmen walk into the building, the seniors line up and welcome the freshmen to Troy High. And so I wrote a fanfare to go along with the introduction to Troy High. That's the second portion. The third portion focuses on what high school is really like. It's just the excitement, the happiness, and the whole piece, I didn't mention this, every year since the seniors were freshmen, they've been granted love scholarships. So I folded in people who've won the scholarship as soloists in the piece. So you'll have Robbie Coring in French horn. He's got a solo to, I believe, 5th movement. Elena Sablehouse, who won with me this year on the flute. Sarah Smith on piccolo. Brendan Kelly, who's way in the back on trumpet. He actually plays a duet with his twin brother, who's over there in the alto sax section. Who am I missing? And of course, Emily Schramm. Emily opens the piece on a bassoon solo, and all 4 of them are fantastic musicians. I've had such an honor working with them, and they play beautifully. I can't imagine having my music played by anybody more talented and more expressive than they are. The 4th movement, I guess, how do we finish up the 3rd movement? When Jake was in high school, he, as the head of the drum line, there was a piece that he really, really wanted to play, and it was hard. It's called Double Beat. And so you'll see we have our marching percussion equipment lined up in the front. Our percussion are going to run to the front of the stage and play you Double Beat to finish off the 3rd movement in honor of Jake. The 4th movement's it's just a little bit, it's more on the sad side. This is Jake. Jake asked specifically to remember him not when he was sick, but when he was well, when he loved each one of us. So I don't focus a ton on the 4th movement, but it's a representation of just how tragic his situation was. And then we get to the 5th movement. And the 5th movement is Jacob's ladder. That's the note you hear throughout. The piano has it, the trombones have it, it's all over the place. Because not only was a ladder, it was an ascension, but Jacob's ladder. I mean, how more perfect could you get a piece? So over top of Jake's theme, which you'll hear throughout the whole piece, is folded in Jacob's ladder. And Jake did graduate from Troy High. In the 4th movement, you'll hear a counterline to my melody, which is Mr. Nugging's melody, for the Troy High alma mater. I took our alma mater and fixed it up so it would fit well with the melody I had written. And so you get a little hint of everything. And in Jake's final moments, you feel the tragedy that it's such a horrible loss. We have no idea who he would have been had he made it through, but we can only imagine how many wonderful things he'd be doing. And Mr. Love put it perfectly. They really wanted Jake, after he came home from the hospital, to walk back through the doors of the Troy High Band, and he never did. But this is his opportunity tonight. He's with each one of us. So please enjoy Love Speaks in honor of Jacob Joel Love.